How's the hair, Lise? Do you have any ideas? Let's do it.
That's your real hair?
What do you think?
You have been labeled as a hot new star. Do you feel hot?
Now there's a pleasant breeze. I don't know. I mean, it's strange, like, you know, driving down the street and having people kind of accost you verbally. But it doesn't make me feel hot, you know, hot. I don't know. I'm just happy to be working.
Oh, if only that 22-year-old knew he would end up being one of the highest grossing stars of all time.
Sometimes you gotta run before you can walk.
He wanted to be the man who moved the earth.
It doesn't get any better than this.
RDJ's 82 films have earned over $14 billion worldwide. But in 1987, during his first E.T. sit-down interview, the rising star was just happy he could pay the bills.
When did you feel it start happening for you?
It's funny because I did a lot of movies and it didn't start happening until Saturday Night Live. Television, you know?
If words could speak, I'd still have nothing to say.
My primary concern now is picking the right projects, but, you know, a year and a half ago it was rent, food, you know, support myself, life support system.
At that time, Robert was fresh off his Brat Pack adjacent era with roles in Weird Science.
Did they make you in the garage with power tools?
And his critically acclaimed performance in Less Than Zero.
I really want to know what you're gonna do now.
Tell you that one. I don't know.
But his big screen debut was at just 5 years old in the 1970 comedy Pound. It was directed by his late father, Robert Downey Jr., and yes, his one line was not exactly age appropriate.
Have any hair on your...
I'm afraid to look.
I didn't know what the line meant that I was asked to say.
But he clearly had a gift for comedy, and in 1990, E.T. was on set of the ensemble hit Soap Dish. Robert played a scheming producer on a mission to sabotage their leading lady, played by Sally Field.
I don't feel quite right in a turban. What am I, 70, David? Am I 70?
Attention, no turbans for Miss Talbert.
I love working with Sally. She's like, talk about consomme, you know? I think I'm out after what would I be like if I was a television producer and also the devil.
You have no idea the flack that I've been getting from management, and I'm trying to shield you from it because I love you, and that's my job.
I had fun, and I spoke faster in this film than anyone has ever spoken in the history of film. I was looking for a way into comedy. So when it happened, you know, I think we're all looking for, you know, to get back into what are we? We're players, and this is entertainment, you know? I'm just happy to be here.
The following year, the 27-year-old transformed into silent screen legend Charlie Chaplin.
He's kind of a role model for me. You know, he's someone who became so autonomous with his work and has such a clear vision. So I relate to those, you know, those desires a lot and would like to. He's my idol. I think probably for me the toughest part has been recreating his movement, because it's so, he never just picks up a glass. He does, his arm goes up in the thing, and it's interesting to me because as an actor, and I've always felt like physically, you know, very comfortable and all that, but it's a very, it's like 100 steps to relaxation, and you have to think of all this stuff, and you know.
Chaplin earned Robert his first Oscar nomination for Best Actor. Ultimately, he lost to Al Pacino for Scent of a Woman.
I guess that's the great thing, is to be recognized in their company. You know, it's not like, and I know that that's like what you're supposed to say, but it's the truth too. Again, I'm realizing cliches work as I near my 30s.
As we know, Robert's 30s were spent battling a painful and very public cycle of addiction that nearly derailed his career. In 2003, he got sober, and what followed was the ultimate Hollywood comeback story.
I am Iron Man.
When you grow and you change, just like it's so not in your, it's so not part of what you are anymore, you know?
Robert had to do a screen test for the role of Tony Stark because Marvel execs were nervous about his past. But boy, did it pay off.
I'm on the set of Iron Man where the action is explosive and the set is still smoldering. What's he doing?
He's preparing for the role. There he is.
Iron Man!
Hey, what's up? You see me at my very most butch. Well, I mean, I grew up pretty strung out on Marvel Comics, and Tony Stark just
Just such an interesting, conflicted guy. I guess of all the ones I've ever read, is the one that I feel most drawn to and can relate to the most. And
why? Why do you relate to him?
I think because there's an element of him having to come to terms with the repercussions of his actions. And also, look, I mean, he didn't get bit by a spider, and he doesn't have some creepy thing about bats. He's a guy who builds, creates, invents, and puts his own ass on the line with everything he does. Well, I also figured if I was ever going to do one of these kinds of movies, this genre, that this would be a good time to do it before I'm too old and can't get in shape, particularly if we wind up doing more than one.
The first film grossed nearly $600 million worldwide, and Robert is credited with reviving the now unstoppable Marvel empire.
Nice work, guys. Excellent. Good team effort all around. Go us.
He signed on for 2 more sequels plus The Avengers, but before those went into production, he delivered this over-the-top and very risky performance in Tropic Thunder.
Because they had one good part in for a black man, they gave it to Crocodile Dundee.
Pump your brakes, kid. That man's a national treasure.
The role earned Robert his 2nd Oscar nomination.
I think it was really ballsy of the Academy. I hear historically comedies don't, whatever. And plus I'm playing an idiot method actor who's thinks he's a black guy. It's the stupidest thing. But I think within that, technically I did okay.
The following year, Robert won his 2nd Golden Globe for Sherlock Holmes.
Clearly succeeded.
First of all, I'd like to thank Susan Downey for telling me that Matt Damon was going to win, so don't bother to prepare a speech. That was at about 10 a.m.
After that, it was time for RDJ to head back to the MCU with Iron Man 2, and E.T. was right there with him.
Tony Stark has come to Monaco, supposedly to observe the race, but then as it happens, he's racing in it. This is where he meets his nemesis, and this big kind of action sequence unfolds on the track. And this is probably about my favorite thing in the world to do professionally.
Next, we were on set for 2012's Avengers, which became the 3rd highest grossing film of all time.
You're a lab experiment at best, Rogers.
It never gets old. It's been a blast. And as you get a bunch of men in tights and green guys and guys all suited up.
Robert would appear in 10 Marvel films in 11 years, culminating in 2019's Avengers Endgame, where fans sadly said goodbye to their beloved hero.
I am Iron Man.
Or so they thought. Enter Avengers Doomsday, Robert's return, where he'll be joined by nearly 30 stars. His reported salary, $100 million.
We're fans. I mean, the reason this has been such a great adventure, and speaking of kids and family, so many of us have all started families since even the first Iron Man. I mean, we got our youngsters and everyone's here.
Yet Robert and wife of nearly 20 years, mega producer Susan Downey, welcomed their 2 children during his Marvel reign.
Me and the missus got pregnant shooting Avengers last year, so it's my favorite film I've ever done.
Their blended family also includes his oldest son, Indio, and no doubt Susan has been hugely instrumental in her husband's success on and off camera.
We're tough on each other, I'm super lucky. Why wouldn't you be in a good mood if you were as lucky as me?
When Robert finally took home an Oscar last year for Oppenheimer, he gave Susan all the flowers from stage.
Susan Downey over there. She found me a snarling rescue pet, and you love me back to life. That's why I'm here. Thank you.
Okay, how has he changed since that Oscar has come home with him? Has anything changed?
Not really.
No?
What's great is you win an Oscar and the next morning the kids are still giving him grief. Like they don't care,
Yes.
It's the great humility.